Welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into something literally mind-bending today. We're going on a journey that starts with the tiny, microscopic stuff you see every single day and goes all the way out to the totally incomprehensible, massive scale of the infinite universe. We're going to break down the actual mechanics of creation, how giant celestial bodies literally battled it out for dominance, and ultimately figure out exactly where we fit into this staggering cosmic machine. So get comfortable and let's unravel the universe together.
You know, as human consciousness has evolved over time, we inevitably reached a point where we weren't just focused on sheer physical survival anymore. The moment our minds really woke up, we started looking around with this deep, burning curiosity. We'd look down at the dirt beneath our feet, look up at the night sky, and just naturally ask, what exactly is all this? And maybe more importantly, what's its history? Like, where did the actual machinery of the universe come from in the first place?
Now, for millennia, religions all over the world gave us our first answers, these incredible early narratives and stories about creation. And for a long time, humanity relied entirely on those ancient texts. But then, the modern scientific revolution came along and totally shifted our lens. It gave us completely new tools and frameworks to look at the cosmos. In this explainer, we're not taking sides. We're just going to objectively explore the currently accepted astrophysical theories to see how modern science explains the physical birth of the cosmos.
Okay, so to really grasp this massive cosmic concept, let's actually start with a super relatable, everyday analogy. Say you lock up your house, right? You go away on a long trip. When you finally come back and open the door, what's the first thing you notice? Your tables, your chairs, the floors, they're all covered in this fine layer of dust. Where did it come from? Well, it was always there, floating around in the air, until Earth's gravity slowly pulled it down over time. And beautifully enough, it turns out the exact same principle applies to the origin of the universe. The whole thing started with cosmic dust.
And that brings us to what the source text calls the badly, or what astrophysicists today call a nebula. Long before there were planets or stars, the universe was just this unimaginably huge, infinitely wide cosmic cloud. Literally just a massive cloud entirely made up of the atomic dust of the fundamental elements. But here's the real game changer. This cosmic dust was not perfectly spread out. Not at all. Some parts of this cloud were super dense and packed with atoms, while other areas were incredibly sparse. And that unevenness? That was the spark for the whole shebang.
Because of that unevenness, things start getting pretty violent. The denser clusters of atomic dust obviously had a stronger gravitational pull. So over billions and trillions of years, these heavy spots started aggressively yanking in the scattered atoms around them. They just kept growing and growing. And as all this mass pulled inward, the sheer pressure and squeezing generated unbelievable friction. Eventually, the pressure gets so intense that the temperature skyrockets, and boom, these massive spheres of compressed dust and gas just ignite into brilliant burning stars.
So once these gigantic celestial spheres formed, they immediately started sorting themselves out on the inside, completely driven by their own immense weight. It's like a cosmic sorting machine. The incredibly heavy metallic atoms, pulled by that intense gravity, sank straight down into the center to create a super dense, solid core. Meanwhile, the much lighter atomic gases got pushed upward and outward. They floated up to the surface and got trapped by the gravity there, forming a swirling, protective atmosphere around the solid rock.
But I have to be clear here. The birth of our solar system was absolutely not a peaceful process. It was complete chaos. Picture these newly ignited, superheated planets spinning wildly on their axis, constantly getting yanked around by the gravity of other giant spheres, kind of like a heavy stone being swung around on the end of a string. Their orbits were totally erratic, they kept crossing paths, and when they did, they violently slammed into each other. The text describes it as a literal great war of planets. It was a cosmic battleground where the larger bodies mercilessly swallowed the smaller ones. Ultimately, the absolute biggest, most powerful body cleared the path and became the undisputed winner, our Sun. And according to the text, the surviving debris basically became the roughly 500 smaller planetary bodies trapped in the Sun's orbit.
But listen, our Sun is barely even the starting line when we're talking about the scale of the universe. Just wrap your head around this staggering number, 87,000. Astronomers like Professor Pickering mentioned in the text have calculated the energy output of other stars, and they found that the star Rigel doesn't just match our Sun. It emits 87,000 times more light and intense energy than our massive Sun does. It is literally almost impossible to even picture a fire that big.
And if the brightness doesn't totally blow your mind, let's talk about physical volume for a second. The source text brings up a star named Unabhadrapadad. Now, this star is described as being incredibly thin. Its density is only 1/20 millionth that of our Sun, almost like a ghost of a star, right? But its physical footprint, its sheer expanded volume, is so incomprehensibly massive that if you put it anywhere near us, its gravity alone would still effortlessly capture the Earth and trap us in its orbit. It's just a crazy reminder that gravity is ultimately a game of total mass, no matter how thinly that mass is spread out across space.
Now zoom out even further. As astronomers look way past our local neighborhood of stars, they start counting those nebula, those massive clouds of creation we talked about earlier. And currently, it's estimated that astronomers know of roughly 200,000 distinct nebula. When you remember that just one single nebula is this infinitely long cloud responsible for birthing countless stars, realizing there are 200,000 of them floating out there, well, human brain capacity just kind of short-circuits trying to imagine physical scales of that magnitude.
And because things are spread so unimaginably far apart, the universe actually plays tricks in our perception of time. The source text points out that light travels at a blistering speed of roughly 100,000 miles every single second. Even at that speed, the distances are so profound that light from distant stars take hundreds of thousands of years just to reach our eyes here on Earth. So think about what that actually means. When you look up at those beautiful twinkling stars tonight, you might actually be looking at a graveyard. You are seeing the ancient light of stars that were physically destroyed epochs ago. We are literally watching ghosts in the night sky.
To really ground ourselves in all this, we've got to look at the math. In our single isolated nebula alone, just one out of those 200,000, they're estimated to be 2 billion solar systems. 2 billion! Now multiply those 2 billion solar systems by the 200,000 other nebula scattered across the void. It is completely, utterly impossible to fathom the sheer volume of planets, moons, and suns burning away out there in the dark.
So what does this all mean for us? Well, with numbers like that, it completely changes how you look at the sky. The universe is absolutely not just some dead, cold collection of spinning metal and gas. Out there, amidst those trillions of planets, the cosmos teems with countless Earth-like worlds. And honestly, it just logically follows that these worlds harbor life. In a universe this ancient and this vast, there are very likely beings out there who possess far more advanced knowledge, senses, and consciousness than we humans currently do.
Which brings us to a really powerful, kind of chilling final thought from our source. When you scale everything back down, from the 200,000 nebulae down to the 2 billion solar systems, down to our one sun, and finally down to our one tiny planet, the text leaves us with this provocative reflection. In this vast nature, our Earth is like a sesame seed, and on this Earth, we are equal to a speck of dust. Think about the massive egos we carry around in our day-to-day lives. How great are we truly within this infinite, magnificent universe? It's a huge reality check, and it definitely leaves you looking up at the sky with a whole new sense of reverence. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep questioning, keep looking up, and I'll catch you in the next one.